Welcome elected members, staff, guests and members of the public to the Ordinary Council meeting of the 8th of October 2025. I declare this meeting opened at 17:30. The City of Busselton acknowledges the Wardandi and Bibbulmun people as the traditional custodians of this region. We pay our respects to their elders past and present. This meeting is being audio recorded for minute-taking purposes and is also being live streamed on the City of Busselton YouTube channel. And I would remind you to please set your phones to silence. In attendance tonight, we have Councillor Anne Ryan, Councillor Lee, Councillor Kay, Councillor McNeish, Councillor Love, Councillor Cox, Councillor Kennedy and myself, Mayor Cronin. As this is the final Ordinary Council meeting for the current Council before next week's election, I want to take the moment to acknowledge and thank those councillors whose terms are coming to an end. Your commitment to serving our community in this role has been greatly appreciated. Being a councillor is not only demanding of your time, but it can also be personally challenging. Making the right decisions for the community is rarely simple, and it often requires resilience, courage, and compassion. At the same time, it is an incredibly rewarding role, one that allows you to make a real difference and a lasting difference. So to those who are finishing their terms, I thank you for your service, and for those who are standing for re-election, I wish you all the very best, whatever the outcomes may be. I now move on to question time. So responses to those questions received, and they'll be on the screens now. They'll also be in the minutes of this meeting. So we now move on to question time for public. In accordance to the City's meetings, information sessions and decision-making processes and council policy, public question time will be allocated to 15 minutes, which may... So I kindly remind those in attendance of public question time that question time is for asking questions only and preamble will not be permitted. Tonight we've received 2 requests for public question time. First request is from Mr. Andrew Dickey. If you'd like to come to the table, please say your name and where you're from. Thank you.
Andrew Dickey, Busselton. You'll be very relieved to hear I have only one question, short question, simple question tonight. It's not about the river or about the saltwater project. Will the Brown Street 30-dwelling community housing development be exempt from council rates, given that it is owned by Housing Choices WA, which is a not-for-profit charity?
Mr. CEO, do you start?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Dr. Dickey. Under section 6.26 in brackets 2 of the Local Government Act, certain land is not rateable. This includes land used exclusively for charitable purposes. If an application for such an exemption is made, it will be assessed to determine if the use of the property is charitable, and if so, an exemption will be approved as per the Act.
Thank you very much.
Next we have Darren Glover.
Good evening, Darren Glover from EBCO. Some questions on notice. Questions on notice from the City of Busselton Ordinary Council meeting. Question 1. One of the key findings, and I'm actually bringing this from a concerned father's point of view. I think it's important to express this. So one of the key findings in the report on the Royal Commission into institutional responses to child sexual abuse was that institutions must understand and recognise grooming behaviours. Will the City of Busselton have compulsory training for all staff, including the CEO, down to the bottom, into what grooming behaviours look like and how to identify them. And if they are identified, what will be the outcome? Will they be reported to police and will they be sacked, etc.? So that's question one.
Thank you. Mr. CEO.
Thank you for your question, Mr Glover. The Council has before it a child safe awareness policy. That draft policy sets out a range of policy principles that will guide the City in creating and promoting our community child safe environments. The City is still determining how to this and exactly what steps it will take, both internally and in the community. I can say, however, the City will provide appropriate training for its employees based on their role, responsibilities and after assessing the training needs. Additionally, in Western Australia, the Ombudsman WA oversees the Reportable Conduct Scheme, which requires organisations such as local governments to report allegations and convictions of child abuse by their employees to an impartial body for that investigation.
Thank you. Question 2. Once this staff training is completed, is the Council going to do a review of practices, how it conducts itself to ensure the safety of all our children? This includes physical safety, e.g. playground equipment concerns, exposure to violence, adult themes, sexual grooming and manipulation. Any children can access in the community. Is everything going to be reviewed in regards to the safety of our children?
Again, thank you for your question. As outlined in the last answer, the City now needs to determine exactly what practices and processes that are within the City's control. It needs to put in place to meet these policy principles as outlined in the Child Safety Awareness Policy.
Question 3, last question. Is there going to be community engagement and training during this process so that community are able to participate in the safety of our children, so that the protection of our children is broadened and balanced, whilst focusing on common sense limits with definitions of what is considered safe practices, activities with our children?
Thank you for the question. Child safety awareness in the community is also a responsibility of each community group. The City is working with the Department of Local Government, Industry Regulation and Safety to ascertain what role the City of Busselton may play in the dissemination of state government educational resources and the information to the community in relation to this issue.
Thank you. Those questions were raised and brought to you on behalf of the Busselton Area Ratepaying Residents Association. Thank you.
Are there any further questions from the public? Ms Shackleton.
Good evening. During your recent interview
Sorry, if you could just say...
Oh, sorry, Michelle Shackleton from Abbey. During your recent radio interview with the ABC, you again stated that the Bass River was a drain and should be left alone. As a representative on council and as the representative on Geocatch, does this mean that in future you would vote against either organisation allocating further effort or funds towards removing the build-up of toxic waste in the Bass?
I won't talk about how I would vote on something, but I'm a bit confused by your question, so...
I've got your interview transcription here from the
yeah,
ABC.
I don't have the transcript in front of me, so I'll take that question on notice. Thank you.
Okay. Well, similarly, in a similar vein, do you also believe that it's appropriate for Dorrell to be pumping sediment into the Sabina River, which eventually enters the Vass and the Ramsar wetlands, and their application to increase?
If that was proven, then I'm sure the Department of Water would deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
The application comes here? No? Goes to Water Corp. Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Mr Darby. Are there any further questions? Being no further questions, I'll move on to item 8.1, that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 24th September 2025 be confirmed as a true and correct record. Do I have a mover? Move Councillor Love, seconded Councillor Ryan. Is there opposition? Being no opposition, I put the motion. All those in favour? Carried 8-0. Adoption by exception, resolution en bloc that the committee recommendations for items 11.1, 11.4, 12.1 and the officer recommendations for item 15.1 be adopted en bloc. Do I have a mover? Moved Councillor Kennedy, seconded Councillor Lee. Is there any opposition? Being no opposition, I put the motion. All those in favour? Motion is carried 8-0. Item 11.5 is the annual statutory review of delegated authority. Do I have a mover? Moved Councillor Kennedy. Do I have a seconder? Seconded Councillor Cox. Is there opposition? Being no opposition, I put the motion. All those in favour? Motion carried 8-0. Now move on to item 11.2. This is the committee recommendation. And should I say we have, Councillor Cox has an alternate, so should this lapse, then the alternate from Councillor Cox would go ahead. Do I have a mover? Being no mover, this item lapse. I move on to item 11.2, which has been pulled and foreshadowed alternate and put in front of you by Councillor Kate Cox. Okay, Councillor Cox, do you wish to move your motion?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll move as written.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Seconded Councillor Ryan. Is there any opposition? Being no opposition, I put the motion. All those in favour? Motion carried 8-0. Now move on to item 11.2. Again, should this lapse, there is an alternate from Councillor McNeish. Item 11.3, do I have a mover for this item? Being no mover, moved Councillor Kennedy. Do I have a seconder? Seconded Councillor Cox. Is there any opposition? There is opposition. Therefore, Councillor Kennedy, do you wish to speak to your motion?
I'll just move as written, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cox, do you wish to speak?
I'll reserve my right at this moment, Mr Mayor. Thank you.
Opposition? Councillor McNeish.
Thanks, Chair. Excuse me. I have provided the staff with an alternative that would be useful to bring up on the screen. Thank you. And it merely is to delay the consideration of the policy. I read it exact words for those streaming in. That this policy, the council meeting procedures, be referred to the newly elected council for determination. And the reason for that is that it is the procedures that govern the meetings, and I'll come back to that. For a new council, I don't think it's right or proper that this council, in its last meeting, in the caretaker period, decides upon something and then effectively, well, forces that into the new council with a review period of 3 years, not even during the life of the council, that new council. So that seems disappointing to me, in the same way that the committee structure has now been recommended to the new council, but won't be decided upon until the new council is briefed, inducted, and makes the decision on its committee structure. This is the same thing. It'll be the new council's, its meeting procedures. And in the consideration, perhaps this might even be used as a type example in the induction process, which will happen pretty intensively, I understand, in the weeks after the election, to make sure that the councillors are informed and can ask questions and to completely understand what they're voting on. There are a number of, I've referred to in the reasons, well, I've called them inaccuracies, but they're sort of amendments and tweakings that I believe would benefit the policy as well. I've got 3 minutes, I guess. An example would be that the title needs changing because perhaps to the elected member scheduled meetings, the current title is misleading. It's the standing orders that lawfully govern the procedures of council meetings, not the council's policy. In 5.2, delete this clause as it is inaccurate. All decisions of the council are formal. Okay. There's an issue about 5.4 I could come back to, but basically that the questions at public questions time are not asked of the council, as the council does not respond. A council resolution is the only way a council can speak. The questions are asked of the local government as part of the council's meeting, but are responded to by the presiding member, or as the presiding member requests, should she or he be unable or unwilling. The public question time processes, again, I could run through a few tweakings for that. And I was particularly concerned about 539D, where this clause must be questions in the delegations, because once delegated, the delegatee has the lawful right to make the decision pursuant to any delegation conditions and must not be influenced by fear or favour in doing so. So having someone with that delegated authority bring the matter to the chamber seeking some sort of feedback is contentious in the least, I think. So again, 541 could be deleted. That's obvious, because any alternative wording as suggested gives rise to the perception of the existence of some sort of informal council decision capability. And we've got to escape that. The use of the word council only means one thing. And then I was interested in 542. This clause needs clarification. I thought about declarations. Declarations as to what extent, what form, what record is made, who polices this function. Does promoting disclosures mean all elected members actively challenging all others in identifying their perceived interests? Dangerous territory. So I thought that would be very much worth another discussion. And in fact, taken to the extreme, when staff are briefing the councillors, the elected members, they often have interests in their role, the volume of their role, the projects related to their role, and you wonder if they'd be declaring some apprehended bias on what they're briefing about. So I think this whole concept of creating this declaration concept outside of the formal council structure needs a lot more
Excuse me, Mr Mayor, can I just
discussion.
ask a point of clarification, please, of Councillor McNish?
Well, I was going to let him finish and then you could ask for a clarification, but...
While he has it in front of him, did you refer, am I correct in saying that you referred to...
Sorry, if you can take your seat, Councillor McNish.
Well, there was no point of order called, sir.
No, it's not a point of order, it's just a point of clarification.
All right,
I'm just reading the policy as Councillor McNish is speaking. Did you refer to 5.42 in the policy, Councillor McNish?
I've got it here on my screen as 5.42.
I don't see a 5.42 in the policy, that's all. So I'm just trying to figure out which part of the policy
There's one in the
you're
new
referring.
policy.
I'm looking at the new policy.
The new policy, 5.42, in addition to disclosure
Page 4 or
requirements.
5 on...
Yeah,
Sorry, I thought I had the new policy up.
yeah, that's page 4 or 5 on page...
Okay, I
Yeah.
apologise,
Okay.
I was looking at the wrong
Thank you.
policy. Thank you.
Sorry, you may continue, Councillor
Thank
McNish.
you. Yes, so, but thanks for the interest, because there are 42 odd clauses, and I suggested there's some tweaking to be done, but this, as I said in concluding, should be done by the new council, fully briefed and inducted. Thank you.
Thank you. If I may, a point of clarification, Mr CEO, is it possible for a council at any point to change a policy, or is that then locked in for the next 3 years?
Council can change a policy at any time, but the normal process is that you do it at a set time. So it has to be done at least as prescribed by the legislation, but someone could bring forward a request for review of a policy.
Okay, so this could be. Thank you. Okay, Speaker 4. Speaker against? Councillor Lee.
Thank you. And I will speak briefly just to reiterate Councillor McNish's point that should a new council be elected, given that the policy is up for review in 3 years, although as we've heard, it can be pulled forward any time, but there's so many other policies that this could get missed and it could go under the radar. So I think it's really important that any new council has the opportunity to be able to determine its direction where possible. So for this particular one to be voted on now potentially means that new councillors coming in won't even have the opportunity. They won't even be looking at this. We know that it takes time to get across all of the stuff that we've got to get our head around. So some councillors may get no opportunity to even look at this. And it may be one of those things that they go, well, this is how it's always been done, so this is how we always do it, which hopefully no new councillors are coming into council with that frame of mind. But this is one that could go under the radar, and I think while we've got the opportunity to make sure it's front and centre, we should take that.
Point of clarification, how many policies do we have? Roughly.
50, roughly.
Okay, thank you. Speaker against? Sorry,
Can I have
for.
a point of
Speaker
clarification,
for.
please?
Certainly, Councillor Candy.
Is there, this would be through the chair to
Thank
staff,
you.
is there any urgency in ticking this one off?
It was a recommendation from the policy audit that the current two policies be combined, in effect. So that's why the item has been put forward. There is no other urgency.
Thank you.
Speaker for? Speaker against? Councillor Ryan.
Yes, I speak against as well. I'd just like to point out that I did raise during the Policy and Legislation Committee on 11.2 that I believed that it should have been a caretaker issue, and following that, the acting CEO also agreed that it was on shaky ground. So I just want to reiterate as well that we are in caretaker mode. It does say under the WA Local Government Act, during the caretaker period, local governments are prohibited from making certain significant decisions to ensure fairness and avoid binding future councils to major commitments. Okay, so this is not a major commitment. I understand that, Sarah. But making binding future councils or councillors to something that they know nothing about, I would also ask you to urge on the side of caution. This is our last meeting until the new council is installed. Surely, given all the induction courses that the new CEO has in mind, it will be a perfect opportunity for the new council to have time to review this policy, to understand what it will do, what it won't do, and for them to debate that. Councillors, I urge you to vote in support of Councillor McNish's alternate. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker for? Speaker against? Right, Councillor Cox, you reserved your right.
I'll just rise to speak very briefly, Mr Mayor, and the reason I'm speaking against the alternative is it really depends on the outcome of the election as to whether candidates or existing councillors are re-elected as to how interested anyone's going to be in closely reviewing the policy, whether they have a policy background necessarily or not. I note in the officer comment that the policy actually, it came to the Policy and Legislation Committee obviously, is an amalgamation of two policies into one. In combining the policy, reference to public agenda presentations were removed, minor amendments have been made to existing content to enhance clarity within the policy. However, there are no changes to the policy position. Therefore, very few changes actually to this policy. It doesn't really commit future council to major changes in this policy. I'm assuming if new candidates came in or new elected members were appointed, they were really concerned about the current policy, there's nothing stopping them from bringing it to council. Therefore, I just think it's an overstep, and I think that the policy as presented by staff doesn't pose any issues for me. So I will not be supporting the alternative. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Councillor Kennedy, you're right to reply.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. There was lots of points that were said there that I would be happy to rebut against, but considering that Councillor McNish has raised many specific points and that this policy isn't urgent, I'm quite happy for it to be referred to the next available meeting. That's where I'm at. Thank you.
Thank you. Therefore, I put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? And the motion is lost 8-0. Thank you. Now, Councillor McNish.
I don't need to go over it. I think it's self-explanatory and take cognizance of the last vote, so I'm happy to leave it at that. Thank you.
Do I have a seconder? There is a seconder, Councillor Kennedy. Is there opposition? Being no opposition, there is opposition. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
No, I'll leave it as is. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Cool. Seconder, do you wish to speak?
Reserve my right.
Okay. Speaker against? No speaker, therefore I put the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Ryan, Councillor Lee, Councillor Kay, Councillor McNish, Councillor Love, Councillor Kennedy. Those against? Mayor Phil Cronin and Councillor Cox. The motion is carried 6-2. Now move on to item... That's it. Okay. The next ordinary council meeting will be Wednesday, the 29th of October, 2025, and I close this meeting at 17:57, and thank you all for your time. Thank you, councillors.